Dr. Eric Kelly III and a host of phenomenal speakers from all around the globe for this 7-day virtual event that you don't want to miss.
The mission of the Black Business Expo is to raise scholarship money from kids all the way from high school all the way from college. The Black Business Olympics is one of the largest Black business showcases in the world. It is an opportunity for businesses and companies to showcase their businesses globally. We are going to be giving away laptops up to $5,000 away to students. Again, I'm Olivia Appleberry, the founder of 2 Cents Finance and one of the speakers for the expo. I am so excited to see you there. For more info, go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090 and hope to see you there.
I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep. Yes, I am Black business. I am Black business. Tell me, are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? Listen, I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. The world! Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090. I am Black business.
I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep, I am Black business. I am Black business. Are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black America in North Carolina. Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-380-9090. I am Black business. I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep, I am Black business. I am Black business. Are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black America in North Carolina. Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-380-9090. I am Black business. I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep, I am Black business. I am Black business. Are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black America in North Carolina. Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-380-9090. I am Black business.
Dr. Eric Kelly III and a host of phenomenal speakers from all around the globe for this 7-day virtual event that you don't want to miss.
The mission of the Black Business Expo is to raise scholarship money from kids all the way from high school, all the way from college. The Black Business Olympics is one of the largest Black business showcases in the world. It is an opportunity for businesses and companies to showcase their businesses globally. We are going to be giving away laptops up to $5,000 away to students. Again, I'm Olivia Appleberry, the founder of 2 Cents Finance and one of the speakers for the expo. I am so excited to see you there. For more info, go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090 and hope to see you there.
I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep. Yes, I am Black business. I am Black business. Tell me, are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? Listen, I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. I am Black business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep. Yes, I am Black business. I am Black business. Tell me, are you Black business? I am Black business. Do you support Black businesses? Listen, I support Black business because I am Black business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. The world! Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090. I am Black business.
Well, hello and good afternoon. Business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and corporations, welcome to the Black Business Network. My name is Gene Baker. I am the Corporate Affairs Director for Exposure Plus TV, and I am your business moderator for this afternoon on the Black Business Network. The Black Business Network is a 24-hour business network showcasing Black businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders worldwide. We have speakers from North Carolina, London, Singapore, Africa, Japan, and cities all over the United States. The Black Business Network is a global community sharing its business knowledge to empower, to inspire, and educate business about business. So next up, we have a fireside chat by Christopher Kunney and Grant McGaw. Christopher Kunney of Divergent is all about technology, business strategy. He's a thought leader and a disruptor. Christopher Kunney was the first African-American promoted into the C-suite in the 120-year history of Piedmont Healthcare. He is an experienced healthcare information technology executive and strategist working with hospitals, health systems, accountable care organizations, and physician-owned entities. He has appeared in a variety of publications, including the Atlanta Business Journal, Modern Healthcare, Who's Who in Business and Industry, and Who's Who in Black Atlanta. Christopher was most recently identified by the Healthcare Information Management Systems Society as a 2019-2020 industry change maker. I present to you Christopher Kunney. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I will be doing a fireside chat with Christopher Kunney, and I am very happy to do so. So thank you for bringing us up.
Yes, well, welcome to both of you. And as we like to say, genius is common. And I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
How are you doing this afternoon, Chris?
I'm doing well, Grant. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this program. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Well, I'm excited to have you. You were on my podcast about 5 months ago, and we kind of went through some of your history and your corporate climb, through your career, which was fantastic. You also have your own podcast.
Yes, I do.
And talk about that just a little bit. Tell us about a little bit about what your podcast is about.
Sure. Well, the title of my podcast is called Straight Outta Health IT. And it's really meant to provide a more unfiltered view of the healthcare industry as a whole, not just specifically health IT. I'm kind of the person straight out of health IT, but we talk about a wide variety of issues related to the industry, everything from obviously technology to health equity related issues, to challenges that are happening within communities, underserved communities, to things like, mental health and challenges there. Are just really the journey of individuals who are in this industry who are trying to make a difference as well, too. It's quite honestly not so much about the technologies or the issues, but about the people who are trying to make a difference as well, too. So I really focus on trying to highlight who they are, their journey, their passion, and then provide some level of education and awareness about what's happening in our marketplace today.
Well, that's very commendable. I've listened to a few of your shows. They are wonderful. I encourage anyone, if you're looking to get a backdoor view of what is going on in the healthcare industry and the leaders that are responsible for it and what their thoughts and feelings are along a lot of different things, whether it's a clinical, administrative, or technical, you can get that knowledge from his podcast. So I encourage you to do so. So I want to ask you a couple of questions because there's a lot going on in the healthcare realm. A lot of things, and a lot of people, especially in our world, we're looking for healthcare to start their business because it seems to be a very challenging market, but a wide open market that's going through transformation. Help us understand from a business perspective, if you were starting a business in healthcare, what are the key things you think you would focus on?
Healthcare is really an interesting industry as a whole. First and foremost, it affects every human being on this planet, right? Everyone in some form or fashion will be impacted by healthcare, whether it's your own personal healthcare or your healthcare of loved ones or people that you know. Everyone at some point will have to experience something related to the delivery of care and healthcare within their own families or inner circles. So it's an industry that touches us all. Here in the United States, from an overall revenue standpoint, an economic standpoint, it represents almost 19% of GDP. And so it provides it's one of the largest industries within our economic sector. And again, it affects every individual, no matter what your socioeconomic statuses may be. The amazing thing about healthcare, there are a number of different trends that are happening in healthcare that people should be aware of. First and foremost, healthcare is attempting to move away from the model of what they call fee for service, which basically means you go to a care provider, whether it's your primary care physician or a specialist or hospital, and you have a condition that you need to have seen. You go and you see that doctor, that care provider, they prescribe a medication or some sort of diagnosis to address that problem. And then they send a bill basically to you or to your insurance company or both. And then that bill is paid by that insurance company or yourself, or in some cases, it may even be denied depending on circumstances. But the bottom line is you get a service for being sick. And healthcare traditionally for, since the inception of this country has always been based on fee for service. You're sick, you could go to the doctor, you get treated, and then the doctor sends you a bill for that service. Industry is now trying to shift to, and that's really Western medicine. Eastern medicine, actually interesting, was designed around keeping you well. And so, in places like the Far East, their clinicians were really paid to make sure you don't get sick. And that model tends to serve them well, because if we can keep you from getting sick, then you are less taxing on the insurance industry, on the healthcare industry, and your quality of life improves as well over your lifespan as well. How do we age as healthy as we can? Ultimately, all we're going to end up in the same place. But how rapidly you get there and how severe that progress is really up to your, the way you live your lifestyle and the way you have healthcare providers that are treating you. So now we're moving to this model of accountable care, where providers are now being encouraged to find ways to keep you well, to keep you out of the emergency room, to keep you out of the hospital, to keep you out of their facilities. And they're being compensated to do that. It's called capitation. So there's a pool of dollars that they are going to be given to treat a certain population. And their goal is to try to keep that population as well as possible and try to address and remediate many of those normal and chronic diseases that a small percentage of the industry face, but taxes a significant part of the overall cost of healthcare. It's said somewhere between 7 and 10% of the population contributes to roughly about 60 to 70% of the overall healthcare cost in this country. And that is primarily due to things like chronic diseases, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, congestive heart failure. Those common comorbidity issues typically drive up healthcare costs in our country and causes the system to be taxed with people who are managing those chronic diseases. And if we can somehow either prevent those diseases from happening or remediate them as much as possible, then we can drive overall cost of healthcare down significantly. And it is said that if healthcare gets to somewhere between 24 and 25% overall GDP, then it would become an unsustainable business for anyone. No one will be able to afford healthcare except the very, very rich. And so it is incumbent upon us to now try to figure out how to keep people well and to keep that cost low. The other thing that's happening in the marketplace today is what they call the silver tsunami. And what that means is the baby boomers, who have dictated every major economic shift in this country since 1948, after the ending of World War II, are now moving into their senior years. And so when they came back from the war, came back home and they got married and had babies, you had companies like Gerber Baby Food and Pampers and diapers and Barbie dolls and G.I. Joes and rock and roll and soul music and baseball. All these things started to emerge as major industries, primarily driven by the baby boomers. So now what's happening is every day, 10,000 people are turning 65 or older. And that trend will continue to happen over the next 25 plus years. By 2050, we'll have 1/4 of the world's population over 65. The other thing that's happening in this space as well, too, is we have less and less people who are moving into the healthcare industry. You've got a number of doctors. You got this great resignation that's happening as a result of COVID and as a result of the baby boomers getting older. You have less people moving into healthcare than you have ever had in the past. And so we're going to see a significant gap in resources available to take care of that silver tsunami of people, those people who are dealing with chronic diseases, and the overall population that is not replacing itself as well, too. And so how do we address that? Technology is going to be a major component of how we start to remediate some of these issues. And so with the growth of things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, virtual reality technologies, Internet of Things, Fitbits and wearable devices, you name it, are all starting to play a major role within how healthcare will be delivered in the future. That means a great opportunity for individuals who might be interested in moving into this space, whether it's providing services for seniors who are getting older, and that doesn't have to necessarily be technology. That could be simple transportation, going back and forth between hospitals or care providers, or getting them to the store, or just back and forth wherever they're wanting to travel. May be a hot industry in the future. And or other things like technologies that will help to remediate the delivery of care and allow them to live more independent lives as well too. So there's a lot going on in the industry right now, and I'm happy to kind of drill down into a number of those in greater detail.
Well, that, you said a lot. And
Yeah.
I want our audience to understand that the healthcare model that is in place, that we've been used to probably your entire life, has to change. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. The government can't handle, the cost, and the fact that you just said right there, the aging population. So for our Black business owners that are out there, like, man, this opens up such a great room for opportunity. First of all, the industry needs you. The industry absolutely needs you. And also remember, you think, well, I have to be a clinician or something like that. Like, no. There's so many aspects. Now, like what you said, hey, think about transportation. Think about anything that a person would need for support, specifically if they can't care for themselves. And remember this, the hospital is really what I call the last mile. That's the last mile. That's usually what we call acute care. Right. You're, you're having some kind of trauma. You're, in a critical zone. And I still can't believe the fact that even in the eastern part of our world, they've always been into this model of value-based care, where they don't want you to get sick. They understand, like, hey, if we keep them well, they're not going to cost us as much money when they get into what you call episodic care, which is too expensive. It's just way too expensive.
Too expensive, unsustainable as a model. And in some cases can have equity related issues associated with it as well too. And so one of the other reasons we want to see more people of color get into this industry is to deal with some of the unique health equity issues that we have faced in healthcare. We've all heard about Henrietta Latt and the Tuskegee experiments and all the other kind of extreme things that have happened in healthcare that have targeted people of color. Well, the same thing is true and it still continues to still happen to some degree in healthcare, with people of color not always being treated the same way as their white counterparts. For example, when it comes to pain, administering pain medications, studies have shown that many doctors won't administer the same level of pain medication to people of color than they will to their white counterparts, because there is a perception issue that people of color can manage pain better or deal with more pain, or in some cases we may be faking it so that we can get narcotics as well too. And then how we are, and then what we call our social determinants of health, those things that also impact our healthcare besides just, a virus or, some sort of hereditary disease. That's things like food deserts, the fact that we don't get nutrition in certain communities, or access to care on a regular basis, because in some communities there aren't any clinics or doctors, especially clinics and doctors of color, because people feel more comfortable with folks that look like them, that communicate like them, that speak their same language, than they may with people who don't. And then things like artificial intelligence, for example. Artificial intelligence is a great tool when it has the right data it's processing and using to drive clinical insights. But if that data is biased and it's skewed towards one community versus the other, then the outcomes are going to be biased. And in many cases, those outcomes are biased to people of color as well, too. So we need people from our community to be a part of this ecosystem, to bring their lens, their ideas, their insights about our community into the delivery of care going forward. Because we all know that as human beings, we all are basically the same physiology, but as a species, we still have differences. We have genetic differences in some cases, we have cultural differences in many cases, and we have economic and social differences in many cases. And all those things will have a direct impact on the quality of care that we receive. And then as a industry and as a business, it is a growing industry. It's one that's not going away anytime in the near term, unless there's some sort of catastrophic, event, a meteor or something hits Earth, and we're all in bad shape at that point. But healthcare has always been an industry that has existed since the dawn of man. It will continue to exist, and it will accelerate in terms of adoption of things like technology and other services because of this silver tsunami that's happening as well. So it's a great time to get plugged into this industry, become a part of it, and more importantly, make a difference in it as well.
I like that. I like that. Opportunity is abundant. I mean, there are three main tenets that typically you'll see, especially Black entrepreneurs being involved with, and that's health, wealth, and relationships. They built businesses around those things, but you have to have a very, very sound point of view and then a great understanding of the industry that you're getting into. Now, you are a consultant by trade, right? And you talk to healthcare executives in a lot of different levels, and your focus has been on, at least of late, I would say, emerging technologies. What, help me understand the conversations that you're having with these types of organizations.
Yeah, I like to think of myself more as a disruptive strategist in healthcare. Consultants can tend to have a negative connotation for some folks, but I do advise and I do help organizations understand and demystify these technologies and hopefully help them understand how they can incorporate them into their overall business and strategic initiatives. The industry, again, is rapidly changing. In fact, technology is moving faster than, sometimes we can digest as healthcare leaders. And even sometimes it's faster than we can digest legislatively as well, too. You look at things like AI, for example, ChatGPT and telemedicine, for example, through COVID, we saw a rapid increase in the use of telemedicine technologies, literally a 100-fold increase in health systems starting to use that because it was a necessity to be able to still deliver care, but to be able to deliver it in a remote environment. Now we as consumers are demanding that going forward. Now that we realize I don't have to go and sit in my doctor's office for 2 hours before to get a 10-minute consultation, I can do that at home over, the internet and still get quality of care. We now demand that as consumers. Two, technologies like ChatGPT and artificial intelligence will continue to get smarter, more precise, and will become resources for clinicians because the reality of it, is that healthcare science is discovering new, solutions to old problems, whether it's cancer or other, illnesses that we're dealing with. And with precision medicine and mapping the human genome and now being able to map the genome of other species like viruses, we can produce vaccines in less than a year. Look at COVID again. How technology has allowed us to advance at what used to take 10 years or more. Now we were able to do in less than a year. And so these technologies will continue to emerge as major components of how healthcare will be delivered in the future. And as we now look at then again, things like robotic technologies, virtual reality technologies, wearable devices, even our clothes in the future are going to be capturing information about our health and transferring that information back to some sort of central repository that will continue to have continuous monitoring of our heart rate, our blood pressure, our temperature, our gait and how we walk, all sorts of things that will dictate, and hopefully be more proactive in identifying problems before they become episodic and more acute. And that's the exciting thing about it as well, too. But again, as we mentioned earlier, we have to be prepared for the inherent biases that might exist if we are not represented as, business leaders in this space, clinicians in this space, and influencers around how these technologies may impact people of color.
Well, I tell you, one thing I'm listening to everything you're saying. And as you were talking, I was thinking about my parents. My parents are, in their close to their 80s. They're there. And my concern is that will they adopt these new new ways of doing things. As we think about like, hey, they're used to jumping in the car and driving to a doctor's appointment. And so telehealth becomes like, what? I'm not sure. I want somebody to really see me. I don't want, someone that, is they're not there. They're not paying attention to me. I want to make sure. So there's a status quo there, or they're used to doing certain things a certain way. And then especially when older people like, hey, I've been doing this way for a long time. You're changing the game on me. We saw that even with telehealth. There was a lot of people, specifically in the communities of color, that were just leery of the tech. So they weren't really adopting it and using it as best as they could. Talk to me a little bit about user adoptability in these technologies.
Yeah, the patient experience, patient engagement is a huge conversation that's happening within healthcare today, and especially in communities of color, and more specifically in underserved communities as well too. And like your parents, unfortunately, both my parents have passed, but my mom died. Unfortunately, she lost her battle with cancer. My dad had a heart attack, and he had a number of issues: high blood pressure. He was diabetic, and he had rheumatoid arthritis, and so he had a whole host of issues going on. And I remember taking him to the doctor, and to his rheumatologist in particular, because he was in so much pain. And the rheumatologist came into the room, and he had a stack of papers about 3 inches high of my father's records. And he walked in the room, and he sat at the little chair and opened up his chart and perused through it for about 5 minutes, and then closed it and looked at my dad and said, his name was John. John, I honestly don't know what to do for you right now. He says, we can try some things, which is practicing medicine, right? We can try some things and see what will work, and if something will work, and we'll just keep trying things until we find something that helps you. Well, now the beauty of technologies like AI, machine learning, and these emerging technologies, they can assimilate massive amounts of data from all over the world, right? Around treatments and new advances in care, that this doctor, who was just as old as my dad at the time, probably in his mid to late 70s, and who's not taking the time, quite honestly, to assimilate that information. And so these technologies are going to make clinicians smarter, wiser, more knowledgeable, at least gives them greater insights. And because of the advancement of things like precision medicine now, where we can map the human genome and map specifically you and your history as a patient, we can now be more precise about our treatment, of you. So we're not just trying something on you. We're leveraging technologies that are geared towards your physiology, your culture, your background, your history. And there's a higher likelihood of those things to have a more positive outcome than just trying something that's been tested on a broader population. And to get back to your question, that's why, again, we need more people of color in this industry, because we have parents and we have loved ones who have been leery of the healthcare system in general, right? Because of those things like the Tuskegee experiment and Henrietta Latt and all the other things that have happened that we've been guinea pigs for. We need people that look like us who are having those conversations with our loved ones and say, yes, I trust this. I'm a part of this. I've helped to develop this. And I kept our communities in mind as we've built these technologies and these new ways of treating patients, so that they are focused and geared around things that are unique to our culture. And then, interesting enough, one of the fastest growing populations in the use of things like telemedicine, virtual care, wearable devices are the baby boomers. Yeah. The baby boomers in reality don't want to, they know they're going to grow old, but they want to grow old as healthy as they can. They don't want to go to long-term care facilities. They want to continue to have independent living. They're a little more conscious about their health than they have, maybe their predecessors, their parents were in the past. And so they are starting to look at technologies that can help them increase their longevity. Now, these technologies can't be so confusing and so difficult to use that they do get frustrated with them. It's kind of like, us using Facebook, for example, or LinkedIn. I didn't go to a Facebook class to learn how to use Facebook, or IG or, LinkedIn. They were intuitive technologies. you get in and you can kind of figure your way out, and because it makes sense. The same will be true for these technologies, and that's again why we need to bring our perspective to the bear. We need to be building solutions that are easy and simple for anyone to be able to use and adopt. Because if they're not, people won't adopt them, and then they won't be able to take full advantage of the value that these technologies can bring to the table too. So on one side of it, there's a desire to want to leverage technology. But we also have to make sure that those technologies are targeted towards the people and designed in a way that those communities are comfortable with using.
You said it right. They have the comfort. You have to be comfortable with it.
Exactly.
I'm glad you brought up like the Facebook analogy. I remember when it was first coming out, my mom was getting involved with it, and I was like, wow, is she gonna really know how to maneuver all these different applications? And man, she lives on it now.
Right. Exactly.
She loves it now.
Right.
She's really involved.
And now you have these communities that are starting to develop within these social media tools that are talking about specific chronic diseases and issues that they're all sharing insights and information about holistic ways of dealing with it, or other treatments that maybe their doctor weren't aware of. And so now you're becoming a much more informed consumer as well, because of the use of social media platforms as well. So, and you've got a support system around you, especially for those who may not be living closer to family members or loved ones. They still have this virtual support system they can rely upon.
And another technology I really like, you touched on a little bit on artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that now you can speak to a device and it's intelligent, or at least have enough intelligence. So like if you're an older individual, you can't maneuver that well, you have limited mobility, but yet you can speak to your Alexa or whatever it might be, and it will respond. It can make phone calls for you. It can do a lot of other things that were challenging before. Like some people, they just don't remember phone numbers or something like that. Like,
right.
We used to remember all the time, right? But you can't. So you can now just talk to your device and say, hey, call my son, and it just knows because it's been programmed. It has that information there, and it just boom, it can just call. Or if you need to make an emergency call or something like that, or it can tell that there's something is coming. So one of the big things that happens, especially today, is that people fall in their home.
Exactly. And it is interesting. You said it's not only that you can talk to these technologies now have the ability to listen and monitor you, as well, and predict if there's something about to happen with you. And so instead of you having to tell the device to call, my loved one or my doctor, whether I'm not feeling well, the devices will be able to monitor your physiology and say, oh, there's some changes happening with this person. Let me call their care provider. Let me proactively call their care provider, and then have their care provider call them and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, your Alexa was monitoring you. It saw your heart rate go up significantly, or saw you stumble a little bit. Just calling to check on you to make sure you're okay. Do we need to have someone come over and take a look at you? Or, do we need to have you come in and, have the doctor check you out? So it's not only going to be this reactive, activity we have with these technologies. These technologies are going to be are now proactive enough to say, okay, I'm sensing something about this person, and we're going to now react to it before it becomes even more severe. And that's what's exciting about these technologies, especially for people who may live in rural communities, for example, and may not have direct access to urgent care or primary care physician or hospital in a 5 to 10, 20 plus mile radius. These technologies can be your monitoring tools and can react to things before it becomes more serious, and then someone can then intercede before something more tragic happens.
Man, you brought up a really, really good point that is happening right now in rural America. There's just not enough, not even clearly enough care providers in those realms, and people.
And let me be clear, it's not just rural. Urban communities still have places where they're not care providers too.
Well, that's true.
And people don't have transportation. We just had that happening here in Atlanta, where they shut down a major hospital in an urban community that serviced that community. And so now those individuals who could literally walk over to that hospital to get care, urgent care, now have to try to catch a bus or a cab or an Uber or something that they may not be able to afford to try to now get primary care or some sort of episodic care. So, urban communities are impacted, but rural communities are impacted, but urban communities are just as impacted as well too.
So I'm thinking now with my entrepreneurial hat now, right? All right. So if you had connectivity in what we call like that workflow, that's needed, you can, understand where the gaps are in healthcare, do some analysis and understand what you can provide. You might even, if you're not in the healthcare business today, you could probably tweak your business to be a provider of some type of product or service.
Exactly.
That is going to be very, very well received by specialists. What you just talked about, wow, the community hospital just shut down.
Right. Yeah.
What happens next?
Right. Exactly. So what do you do now? As a parent or loved one who's used to going to that facility for some basic care, because a lot of folks don't have, especially in underserved communities, don't have a primary care physician. Right. They don't have a specialist. They use their emergency department, the ED, to get their primary care. And so when they need to get a shot for the flu, or, they've got a stomach infection, or maybe their blood pressure's gone up and they don't have a primary care physician, they go to the ED and get that care. Now that ED is closed, and now they have to figure out another method to receive care. So, health disparities don't occur just in, underserved communities in third world countries. We're having that happen right here in the middle of urban cities as well too. Yeah. And the interesting thing too, though, with that is, and I've had the opportunity to work in a wide variety of communities, both, here in the U.S., and I've done some medical missions to West Africa as well too. And even in those places like West Africa, where we were serving folks who literally didn't have running water or electricity in their homes or in their schools, everyone still had a cell phone. Right. And so we were still able to stay connected to those individuals even after delivering care, because we could reach out to their cell phones. And so the cellular technology, mobile technology, is really going to continue to revolutionize healthcare, because now you've got devices that can be monitored, that can connect to your cell phone, that can now send information back to someone monitoring you in some sort of central location, even as far away as Africa. And that's what's going to be powerful as well. Now, we as people here in the United States can provide telemedicine services to people in all over the world. And now we start to close those health equity gaps that many of our communities have faced, because we don't have local infrastructure there to treat them.
Well, you just brought up another point I want to talk about, and that's virtual reality. I saw you recently, I think you went to a conference, but you did it in the metaverse, and you had that experience. Can you talk to us about this next world that we're going into in virtual reality, and how that can really help our populations get to that next level?
Absolutely. That's one of those areas where I think that we're going to see a tremendous adoption of technologies in that space in a number of different ways, not only just for kind of general education and networking and communication, but virtual and augmented reality are going to help clinicians actually become better healthcare professionals. By using technologies like augmented reality, clinicians can now practice complex procedures without having to now touch a patient, themselves, and possibly endanger that patient. Because now they can use the augmented or virtual reality technologies to actually simulate doing a procedure on a patient. The other thing that this technology can do is to help patients themselves go through things like rehab, because it can simulate certain games and gamification type activities that will help someone maybe rehab faster, better. And they do it in a way that's fun and interesting to them. So it's not now me having to go to the gym and do these exercises, and I don't really want to do those. but maybe I'm playing some sort of game, virtual football, and now I'm throwing, doing throwing exercise, throwing motions that are really exercises that are helping me to rehab my shoulder. And so there's all sorts of applications for things like virtual reality. And then just for example, mental health. Mental health is a growing issue in our communities. We're starting to finally recognize it as a challenge or problem, and it's starting to increase even more in our own communities of color. We can now use these technologies to provide consultation to people virtually, to provide other types of care that can be delivered through augmented and virtual reality. And then, hopefully create an environment that people feel more safe and comfortable, so that they can improve their overall mental state. People coming back, for example, from campaigns in the military, they're now dealing with things like post-traumatic stress and other issues, can now get care even in the most remote places through the use of telemedicine, augmented reality, virtual reality technology. So it's an exciting part of that. And then just health, overall education. Now then one of the other things I'm doing with this foundation that's doing medical missions to Africa is that we're actually standing up a nursing program in a university there in Ghana, where we can again use these technologies to do virtual education as well too. So we can be in the metaverse, right? And we can have these people sitting around like they're in a virtual classroom, giving a virtual lecture, and people can raise their hands. They can talk to their colleagues next to them. It's almost like being in the same room together. And that continues to facilitate greater collaboration, hopefully building greater synergies across the world of people of different color backgrounds and perspectives as well.
I know you're a technologist. And one of the questions I was on another broadcast, we were talking about this, because this emerging technology is awesome, but you have to have access to it. And what I'm saying by that is, like, not everybody has, whether it's 3D goggles or things like that, but not even talking about that. It's just the infrastructure that is needed to support a persistent 3D experience could be challenging in areas that, like right now, we're on a great broadcast, we have good bandwidth, but that's not the case in a lot of other areas, even in this country, but also across the world. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think, as these technologies continue to emerge, we'll continue to put the infrastructure in place in some of these underserved communities. 5G, for example, for telemedicine and virtual reality and things like that is really a requirement in order to get real good value out of that. And there in some communities, 5G doesn't exist. And so it's or even just decent internet connection or mobile connections. And so, the industry has to continue to double down and make a further investment in it. But there's also technologies like satellite technology, right? You can almost drive anywhere in the country, no matter in a rural area, and still get access to satellite. So, we can start to now leverage satellite technologies as a tool to touch even these underserved communities as well. And then as we continue to see technology more as a utility, just like the water and electricity, I truly believe IT is really the next utility. We will start to find ways to commoditize it and leverage it in fashions that we haven't traditionally done in the past, because it now is a part of how we live our everyday lives. We almost can't live without the use of cell phones and mobile devices and the Internet of Things to even conduct basic business, not only healthcare. So there's great opportunities for these technologies to start to be the equalizers in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this session, Mr. Kunney.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being a part of it. And I applaud everyone who is a part of this organization, these sessions that are taking place. It's really making a difference. And it's a pleasure to be a part of it as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And what a powerful conversation. So much information that you gave us all. So thank you very much. And for our listening audience, is there a preferred way that they can reach you if they want to dialogue?
Sure. Yeah, they can reach me either on my LinkedIn. I accept every LinkedIn invite that comes to me. So my name is Christopher Kunney, Kunney. I am on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me there, or you can reach out to me on my business email, which is christopher.kunney@divergent, DIVURGENT.com. Happy to connect with you there as well.
Perfect. And thank you, Grant. Wonderful, wonderful interview. And as we like to say, genius is common, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.